everyone, my name is Antonia and this is PerryPictures. Welcome back to another episode of Draw My BitLife, continuing with Ella Johansson. We left off in video part 1 where Ella had just turned 30 and was massively in debt. She was working 2 jobs, had 4 kids, and a husband who was a full-time dad, part-time receptionist, adding an additional $20,000 a year to their household income, and yet they still weren't breaking even. She knew that her petty crime wasn't going to close the gap, so teen crime lord Ella had to step her game up like a grown-up and join the big leagues in order to make ends meet. The unfortunate news is my phone stopped screen recording between the ages of 30 and 50, but I know exactly what happened during those years and can recount from memory. Ella began stealing and selling cars for a much larger profit than pawning packages. She had a knack for escaping carjackings gone wrong as well, managing to outrun witnesses and police. Her illegal activity raised enough scratch to keep the family from bankruptcy up until one day, nearing her 40s, when she indiscriminately sold a stolen vehicle to a blind man and he, air quote, recognized it as stolen property and Ella went to prison. If only she hadn't sold that last car, she would have been there for her mother Emma the very next year when she passed away. Ironically, Ella's inheritance from her mom saved her whole family from their crippling debt 1 year too late to keep Ella out of the clink. She wasn't released until she turned 45 years old, and in between that time, her husband Vigo took half of her inheritance and divorced her. But finally a free woman, Ella was able to attend her son Elias's wedding to a 22-year-old Army enlistee named Sexton, and Ella met a special new someone of her own, also named Elias. She never was able to sell her Porsche Cayenne, and at age 50, she had to scrap it. But she was able to return to work in the media industry. I guess Rainier Broadcasting Services assumed that if Ella's criminal record ever came up, it just meant free publicity and they would be fine with that. With all that cash money from her mama, Ella bought her and Elias Sr. an alluring cabin to live in and a new vehicle. Then she treated all her kids to some one-on-one time with her. At 51 years old, Ella covered a news story at work about a robber who sued for injuries he sustained while trying to perform a robbery. That same year, her son Elliot had a baby girl named Tuva. When Ella turned 53, Elias Carrison proposed to her on a dairy farm. After agreeing to sign a prenup, they were married on the beach and went to Oktoberfest for their honeymoon. A year later, Elliot and Nellie have another baby named Isabella, and Ella's son Elias adopts a 7-year-old named Anton. That got Ella thinking she wants another child of her own with Elias Sr., so she hires a surrogate, but the pregnancy fails to take. I suppose she'd just have to be satisfied with another grandkid because her son Elliot had another baby girl named Leah. Rather than retire, at 56 years old, Ella decides to work more hours, clocking in 41 hours a week. Then at age 57, her only daughter Edith is diagnosed with lung cancer. To blow off some steam, in good old Ella Johansson fashion, she convinces her husband to vandalize a neighbor's house with her by throwing tomatoes at it. Next year, when Ella turns the grand age of 58, her son Elias adopts a 4-year-old girl named Julia. This is apparently when Ella's reputation for criminal activity catches up to the Wynn family mob, and they send a recruiter to talk to her. Ella decides it's time to retire from her position as a senior reporter and live in the fast lane once again on the edge of the law. By 59 years old, despite not being in dire financial straits anymore, Ella returns to her roots yet again, living for the thrills, this time as an associate of the Wynn family triad. Ella decides to try some burglaries to earn some credibility in this new role. After a successful snatch, she decides to donate all the earnings gained from burglarizing to the Wynn family, and they reward her with a 10% cut. She doubles down on her success by stealing a Dodge Ram and a Ford Mustang, both of which she gave to the mob. Impressed with her work, the mob boss orders her to bribe a local spa to give a rival gang chemical burns. Ella is apparently unfazed by this request and delivers without batting an eye. All this fast living cost her her marriage though, and Ella is yet again served divorce papers at the age of 59. She is also diagnosed with depression, and I can only assume that would be why. As a result, Ella decides to spend some quality time with her children and grandchildren. She takes Elliot to an ugly sweater party and bakes cookies with his children, Tuva, Isabella, and Leah. She takes her son Elias to spike some eggnog and takes his children, Anton and Julia, to put antlers on animals and video record them. Ella takes her other son Vincent swimming and her daughter Edith to purchase and play with a dreidel. At 60, Ella decides to test whether or not she's still got it by stealing a Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon, but a magician spotted her and called the cops before she could get the car started. Caught by the police, they charge her with grand theft auto and a few other infractions and threaten her with 36 years in prison if she doesn't agree to become an informant against the Wynn family. She decides to become a double agent for the police and is given 4 years to deliver enough evidence to earn a place in the witness protection program. On one condition: she can't get caught committing another crime again or the deal is off. To maintain appearances, Ella decides to do another burglary, but plays it safe, stealing a teddy bear from a drug addict and bouncing out before she gets caught. Afterwards, she tries chatting up the other associates to collect enough dirt to give to the police. Sniffing around catches her boss's attention though, and she is given a cryptic warning that choices have consequences. Feeling a bit of heat from the eyes on her back, Ella goes back out and steals a Roku media player, but gets caught by a mall cop. However, she does manage to escape, which must be due to all those years of practice on her side. With attempted car theft and shoplifting going south these days, Ella decides to try hustling a business again, this time an escort agency, demanding $700 in extortion money. The manager pays up and Ella turns the funds over to the Wynn family, earning another 10% cut. Pretty proud of herself and undecided where her loyalties lie, Ella hesitates to turn in any evidence to the police just yet. To help make up her mind, she tries extorting a small graphic design business for $200, but the CEO is not intimidated enough, so Ella resorts to slashing the CEO's tires to send a message. Turns out choices do have consequences, and when the CEO calls the cops on Ella for the tires, it severs her prior deal with the police. The judge finds her guilty and sentences her to a maximum security prison for 44 years, but even maximum security can't keep Ella down. She escapes before she's even had a chance to turn 61 years old. Her joy is short-lived, however, since her daughter Edith's lung cancer claims her life. Ella isn't in a position to plan her daughter's funeral since she can't afford to get caught by the police again, but she does attend the funeral, I assume incognito. Still a member of the mob, Ella is tasked with getting the chairman's daughter's teacher to give her a good grade. Weary of showing up in person, Ella decides to call the school and make demands from a safe distance. For the very same reason, Ella also decides to get a facelift, haircut, and color in the hopes that she can better protect herself from rearrest. 61 years old and convinced that she's done a good job concealing her identity, Ella goes back out into the world and tries to steal a Volkswagen Beetle. The owner of the vehicle catches her though, and rather than call the police, deals out her own form of justice, beating our poor senior citizen to a bloody pulp. Ella escapes to a park to lick her wounds and is confronted there by the captain of the rival mob family. Ella tries to reason her way out of trouble, but it's futile. Unaffected by her senile charm, the Doe family decides to suck her through the propellers of a jet engine and scatter her remains on the tarmac. Alas, her epitaph remembers her as an aggressive young lady who studied journalism and found her way into the triad's infamous Wynn crime family. She had 4 children, 3 lovers, and 5 grandchildren, spent 8 years in prison, and had a knack for stealing cars. Moral of the story: live by the sword, die by the sword. Thank you for joining me on this BitLife journey. I hope you enjoyed the story and the artwork, and if you are looking forward to more videos just like this, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!